I'm Robert Jenkins, and I'm the CEO of CloudSigma. CloudSigma is a public infrastructure as a service provider, and we're involved in a number of research projects within Europe. I would say that one of the biggest takeaways that I have from today was, apart from the general networking about other people involved in those areas, are the methods of funding and really how that can drive the different the success criteria, the chance of success of different projects. So what was interesting in the panel session just now was their discussion about different funding methods from public and private sources and how they're sort of driving the behavior within projects and then the successful outcomes or not of those different projects as a result.
So if we talk about EU projects, do you think it is necessary in general to measure the performance, or is it not possible?
I think it's important to measure the performance. I don't think it's easy, and I think that how you fund and measure the success, they tend to be linked, especially if it's an EU project. And I think that there's a lot of potential to introduce new methods that can really improve that. So to give you an example, if you fund the whole project up front and you define everything and then you base it on time, then that creates incentives for people to spend time and do things in a way which they might do differently if it was structured differently. So there are other ways of looking at success criteria based on sort of more frequent, perhaps, measurement periods, staged funding, and all those kind of type of aspects that could be looked at and introduced and linked to the performance. And then in that way it could actually improve the performance of a lot of projects as well. So it's definitely really important, and it's something that I think there's a lot of potential to keep improving, put it that way.
So if we talk about success criteria, do you think that there is one most important KPI to measure innovations?
Well, I would say no, I don't think there is, because I think it depends who you are and what you're looking to get out of the project. So if you are an academic institution, then your KPIs are going to be very different from a commercial provider, which ultimately is going to want to show a commercial return. So I would say that there isn't really one KPI, and that's why you would have to take a blended approach. But in terms of from us as a company, I would say that what we look at from the projects is not only the outcome, the actual product that's coming out of that. I mean, product in the widest sense of the word, not necessarily a commercial product, but also the collaboration that we achieve with these other companies. So actually one of the most valuable things that we have from the kind of joint innovation and research projects we're involved in is actually that kind of building up of networks within Europe between different companies that actually then create a lot of spin-off benefits and other ideas and projects, etc., come out of that. So I think that networking effect is really, really powerful, and it's something that we've seen it's like a force multiplier. So we're in a small project, and then actually out of that comes so much more, and actually in many cases dwarfs the original project. So it's definitely something that's very valuable for us as a KPI, would be the collaboration aspects and the sort of cross-fertilization between those different organizations.
So do you really measure that? Like, we have 3 new companies from this project?
Well, I'm here to learn more about KPIs and measurement. So the answer is no, we don't have a scientific method to doing that at the moment, and we're a relatively small company, relatively new company. So no, but I think it's something that is worth measuring and makes sense. And definitely as a company and me as CEO, one of the things we want to do is move towards more data-driven approach to all sorts of aspects of the business, including, of course, the success of these types of projects.
So talking about data-driven approach, do
Yes.
you think it's not limiting your innovation so that you have less innovations because you measure everything?
No, I don't think so, because actually we use an agile methodology, so we actually have very short iteration cycles. This is in our general commercial product development, and we measure customer behavior. So I don't think it limits innovation, because it tells you what's valued and what's not, and actually when you're doing something right and when you're doing something wrong. Now, you shouldn't be afraid of failing, so you shouldn't use that you shouldn't let the customer define your product, put it that way, because sometimes maybe you have an idea that they didn't think about, that they needed, and then you bring it on the market and it's successful. But on the other hand, if you bring something on the market and it's not successful, then you want to know about it fast. So it's a sort of fail-fast methodology, and also it helps us in terms of understand better what customers want. So how many of customers have used the new feature we did, etc., etc. So as we innovate and improve the product, we can do so by following what the market is actually doing, what it wants, by having the constant feedback.
Thank you, that sounds exciting. So thank you for your time and enjoy the workshop.
Okay, no problem, thanks.